राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जय प्रभुपदा जय प्रभुपदा प्रभुपदा जय प्रभुपदा प्रभुपाद 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 जय जय प्रभुपाद ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राजकाचार्य अष्टोत्तर सिद्धि श्री श्रीमद अभय चरणारविंद भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी जगत गुरु श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राजकाचार्य अष्टोत्तर सिद्धि श्री श्रीमद भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती गोस्वामी महाराज श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय। नामाचार्य श्री हरिदास ठाकुर की जय। प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोप गोविंद श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड गिरि गोवर्धन की जय। ब्रजभूमि वृंदावन मथुरा धाम की जय। ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय। निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल। All glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories, all glories, all glories to Shri Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जायमुदीरये। नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवद्योत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्ठिकी। कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय देवकी नंदनाय च नंदगोपकुमाराय गोविंदाय नमो नमः। Hare Krishna. We are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto number 3, chapter number 14, entitled Pregnancy of Diti in the Evening. Text number is 5. Maitreya uvacha sadhu viram tvaya prishtam avatar katham harehe yatvam pritchasi martyanam मृत्युपाश विशातनिं। मैत्रेय उवाच साधुवीर त्वया पृष्टम् अवतार कथां हरेः यत्त्वं पृच्छसि मर्त्यानां मृत्युपाश विशातनिम्। मैत्रेय उवाच साधुवीर त्वया पृष्टम् अवतार कथां हरेः यत् त्वं पृच्छसि मर्त्यानां मृत्युपाशविशातनिम् मैत्रेय उवाच साधुवीरत्वया यत्त्वां पृच्छसि मर्त्यानां मैत्रेय उवाच साधुवीरत्वया पृष्टम् अवतारकथां हरे यत्त्वां पृच्छसि मर्त्यानां मृत्युपाशविशातनिम् मैत्रेय उवाच साधुवीरत्वया पृष्टम् अवतारकथां हरे यत्त्वं पृच्छसि मर्त्यानां मृत्युपाशविशातनिम् मैत्रेय उवाच साधुवीरत्वया पृष्टम् अवतारकथां हरे यत्त्वं पृच्छसि मर्त्यानां मैत्रेय उवाच साधुवीरत्वया पृष्टम् अवतारकथां हरे यत्त्वां पृच्छसि मर्त्यानां मृत्युपाशविशातनिम् मैत्रेय उवाच अवतारकथां हरे यत्त्वां पृच्छसि मर्त्यानां मृत्युपाशविशातनिम् माताजी मैत्रेय उवाच साधुवीरत्वया पृष्टम् अवतारकथां हरे यत्त्वां पृच्छसि मर्त्यानां मृत्युपाशविशातनिम् मैत्रेय उवाच साधुवीरत्वया पृष्टम् अवतारकथां हरे यत्त्वां पृच्छसि मर्त्यानां मृत्युपाशविशातनिम् मैत्रेय उवाच साधुवीरत्वया पृष्टम् अवतारकथां हरे यत्त्वां पृच्छसि मर्त्यानां मृत्युपाशविशातनिम् Maitreya Uvacha. Maitreya said, Sadhu, devotee, Veera, O warrior, Tvaya, by you, Prashtam, inquired, Avatar Katham, topics on the incarnation of the Lord. Hare, of the personality of Godhead. Yet, that which, Tvam, your good self, Prachasi, asking me, Martyanam, of those who are destined for death. Mrityupasha, the chain of birth and death. Vishatanim, source of liberation. Translation and purport by Abhay Charnarvind Bhaktivedanta Swami Jagadguru Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Translation. The great sage Maitreya said, O warrior, the inquiry made by you is just befitting a devotee because it concerns the incarnation of the personality of Godhead. He is the source of liberation from the chain of birth and death for all those who are otherwise destined to die. Purport. The great sage Maitreya addressed Vidur as a warrior, not only because Vidur belonged to the Kuru family, but because he was anxious to hear about the chivalrous activities of the Lord in his incarnations of Varaha and Narsimha. Because the inquiries concerned the Lord, they were perfectly befitting a devotee. A devotee has no taste for hearing anything mundane. There are many topics of mundane warfare, but a devotee is not inclined to hear them. The topics of the warfare in which the Lord engages do not concern the war of death, but the war against the chain of Maya, which obliges one to accept repeated birth and death. In other words, one who takes delight in hearing the war topics of the Lord is relieved from the chains of birth and death. Foolish people are suspicious of Krishna's taking part in the battle of Kurukshetra, not knowing that his taking part ensured liberation for all who were present on the battlefield. It is said by Bhishma Dev that all who were present on the battlefield of Kurukshetra attained their original spiritual existences after death. Therefore, hearing the war topics of the Lord is as good as any other devotional service. Vandeham Shri Guroho Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamsya Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamsya Namam Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna Hare Krishna Hare Krishna. So here in Srimad Bhagavatam we are seeing that Vidura is continuing his dialogue with Maitreya, and he asks further about the incarnation of Varahadev. And Varahadev, the boar form of the Lord, Shukdev Goswami has touched upon the topic. Maitreya is describing, he's only touched upon what exactly happened and how the earth was restored, but Vidura wants to know more, the details about especially the killing of the demon. And then the response of Maitreya is that this is a very apt inquiry that you want to hear about the fight between Varahadev, the boar form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and the great demon Hiranyaksha. So the very important point here made is Sadhu Vira Tvaya Prishtam, that really very beautiful inquiry that you have made. And here Maitreya is addressing Vidur as Veer. Veer means, oh, warrior. Why is he calling Vidura as a warrior? The first external reason is that because he is born in the Kuru dynasty. So yeah, you're coming from Kshatriya clan, and because you are Kshatriya, then you also have that warrior nature, the nature to fight. So yes, you are a Veer. But Prabhupada mentions interestingly that the actual reason he's been referred as Veer is because he is specifically interested about hearing the topics of warfare. He is particularly interested in listening to the fight that happened between Lord Vishnu as Varahadev and the Hiranyaksha. Somebody may say that why so much importance to the fight? It's just like a ordinary fight. Two people fight in the world, in the material world. We see there are quarrels, fights. So why such a big deal? What is the big fuss? But here very nicely, Srila Prabhupada describes how every topic that Krishna engages in is relieving the people who are bound by the cycle of birth and death. It's actually liberating them, any kind of topic. And Prabhupada also further describes how even Krishna, when he was engaged in the battle, in the Kurukshetra war, many people criticize Krishna that why Krishna has to take part. Rather, he should have somehow stopped the war. But why Krishna took part, and he was very much present as a guide for Arjuna. But here, Prabhupada quotes Bhishma Dev saying that actually, just by being present on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, Krishna made sure that all the different warriors, they attained their ultimate position. They attained the spiritual world just because Krishna was present. Srimad Bhagavatam describes, Tataiva chane naraloka veera ya ahave Krishna mukharavindam netre pibantu nayanabhiramam partha astraputa padamapurasyat. So Bhagavatam describes how all the warriors, especially those who were dying, at the time of death, as their necks or their bodies, chests were being pierced by the arrows of Partha, Arjuna. That time, they had the greatest fortune that they were drinking the nectar of Krishna's beauty with their eyes. As their body was taken away, they were drinking the nectar of the beauty of Krishna. They had the beautiful form of Krishna right present in front of them. And in that state of consciousness, they left their body. And that's why Padamapurasyat, they attained their spiritual destinations. So what a great fortune they all achieved. One time Srila Prabhupada had visited one of the life members and the life member was very excited about the war. He especially loved the fact that such a big war happened. So when Prabhupada entered his big house, there was a big poster, a picture of Krishna in the battlefield of Kurukshetra and amongst the armies of the Kurus and the Pandavas. And Prabhupada looked, it was such a big painting, such a big, huge picture. It occupied the entire wall. And Prabhupada started talking, oh, you're very much into the war topics. And Prabhupada appreciated him. And Prabhupada had some prasadam and discussions. And the member was supposed to give a big donation. He was already giving a lot of donation to the temple. And Prabhupada was really very happy, pleased with him. And then the time came when Prabhupada was about to leave. That time he said, Swamiji, I think and I'm completely sure that I was present on the battlefield of Kurukshetra that time. I have these, so many dreams. I get those ideas that I was there present when Krishna was there. I was there present. And Prabhupada that time could have said that, oh, it could be possible, who knows, you're a great man. Because he was giving such a great donation. He had already a big check ready. But Prabhupada, as we all know, he would not mince his words. Prabhupada immediately said, no, it's not possible. Because whoever was present there, they all have been liberated. They have all gone back to spiritual world. And because I see you, that you are still here, that means you were not present at that time. And he was like, oh, such a, the balloon of ego was just popped by Prabhupada. And he felt like heartbroken because that's what he had been thinking for decades. He's been thinking. But Prabhupada would never mince his words. He would not think that, oh, let me give him some pep talk or no. Prabhupada brought him down. But Prabhupada said that, don't worry, the battle is still on. You can still join the army of Krishna and you can still fight by joining me. So Prabhupada meant that the war against Maya, the illusory energy of Krishna, is still going on, and Srila Prabhupada is in the army of Krishna. Srila Prabhupada is the commander-in-chief, and we can all join him. We can be part of this fight, and we can fight on Krishna's side. Here in Srimad Bhagavatam, it is also very nicely described that the ear holes, if they are not utilized in hearing about the pastimes of Krishna, then they are as good as the snake holes. So that means if the people in general, if we do not distribute them Hari Katha, then naturally they will be attracted by so-called fights or so-called romantic affairs or so-called movies, and they would be attracted by so-called heroes if we do not give them the real hero, that is Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So Prabhupada said that if we do not cultivate the people in general, then their ear holes will act as snake holes. I mean, snake holes, like Srila Prabhupada said, that in the paddy fields in India, especially at the start of the rainy season, there are so many holes. And the holes are dug by the rats. But then the snakes, they sneak in and they're waiting for the rat. And the rat, while coming in his hole, he thinks that I'm going to my home. I'm going to get in, get on my sofa, start my nice favorite show. I'm going to be eating burgers and soda. And he enters with that attitude, but inside who is waiting? The death personified. The snake is the death for the rat. So that's why Krishnat asya trikala bhiva bhujango. Krishna se sarvam vashat. It is said that the serpent of time is swallowing each and every one of us. That serpent of death is swallowing all of us. But only Krishna trasyati, that serpent can only be overcome by the snake charmer. Who is the greatest snake charmer? Is Krishna. Krishna trasyati, only Krishna can control and rather kill that serpent of death. So Prabhupada said that just like the snake holes are very dangerous, if we do not utilize our ears to hear Krishna Katha, to hear the pastimes of Krishna, especially the pastimes about fight, Krishna fighting with the demons, killing, it actually gives us the hope that Krishna is so great that my problems are nothing. I'm worried about a so-called disease. I'm worried about, money problems, or I'm worried about some relationship issues, or I have these many problems, but when we hear about Krishna and how heroic he is and how he has always taken care of his devotees in the most difficult times, just like Narsimha Dev protecting Prahlad, when we see that, wow, I mean, as compared to Prahlad, I don't have that many problems. So it is very important when we hear about different pastimes of Krishna, we understand and our faith in Krishna is restored. And then it gets firmer and firmer. The faith becomes so strong that we can see in Srimad Bhagavatam when Krishna and all his cowherd friends, they saw the gigantic mouth of Aghasura, and all the friends, most of them, they wanted to go inside the mouth because most of them thought, oh, it's a beautiful scenic spot. And Krishna understood, doesn't look like a scenic spot to me, it looks like some demon. And while the boys were entering that big gigantic mouth of the snake, Aghasura, it was the mouth of death personified, but they were not realizing. But as they came close, they could smell the bad breath, because the demon had eaten a lot of dead, animals, a lot of dead humans. So many were already eaten in the stomach. So the bad breath was not only garlic or onion, it was the bad breath of so many dead humans or animals. And at that time, when all these cowherd friends have seen and they smell, they think, looks like this is the mouth of death. This is a serpent. But then the interesting fact is that Shukdev Goswami quotes a verse that completely changes the whole narrative. It completely changed the perspective. Shukdev Goswami says that even after knowing that this is the mouth of a serpent, the cowherd boys still entered laughing and smiling and clapping. They were clapping and smiling. Asman kimatra grasita nivishta nayam tatha ched bhagavat vinakshati kshanadane tibakaryushan mukham viksha uddhasanta karatad nairyayu. Viksha means they saw the big mouth, they understood that it's a demon, but then uddhasanta, they started laughing. Why? Because they looked at the beautiful face of Krishna, because he entered the last, so he was at the back. So they thought, if Krishna is also coming inside the mouth, then why should I be outside? If Krishna is entering the mouth of Aghasura, then I want to be inside. I want to be where the action is. I don't want to miss the show. So they were like, okay, Viksha Uddhasanta and Karatadana. They started clapping. They were giving each other high fives. That, oh, there's going to be a nice show. Now, when we imagine, when I think about this, if somebody like me would be there, I would take a U-turn, I would say bye-bye, I will watch from outside. But that's what it very important to understand, that because the cowherd boys had seen the heroics of Krishna. That's why the word used in the verse, Shukdev Goswami says, Bakaryushan, that this Krishna has just killed Baka, the demon called Bakasur. So the cowherd boys had seen the chivalrous pastime of Krishna with their own eyes. They had seen how strong, how powerful this Krishna is. And that's why they had complete faith that Krishna can do anything and everything. So we have to understand how nicely this has been described, that the faith in Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, becomes firmer and firmer when we hear the heroic pastimes of Krishna, the chivalrous pastimes of Krishna. So This is very important to understand. And even the beginning, if we go especially about the point where we are at in Srimad Bhagavatam, where we are discussing Varahadev, Narsimhadev, what happened at this point here we see that Jay and Vijay from the Vaikuntha, they were cursed by the 4 Kumaras. Now this is also very interesting. And I was recently reading the commentary of Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, and I also found some connection, and Prabhupada also, how he quotes different connecting pastimes. Very important thing is that when Jay and Vijay were cursed by the 4 Kumaras, and then Lord Vishnu appears, and he takes, the responsibility that he says, I'm sorry because these are my servants. So if they have offended you, I am also at fault. And then the atmosphere changes. The Kumaras are thinking that, maybe we did some mistake. We shouldn't have cursed. Because these are the servants, they're personal servants of Lord Vishnu. What did we do? And then there is this confusion, and then this dilemma is created. And Jay and Vijay are in tears that we have been cursed, and now we have to come down from Vaikuntha and come on earth in the material world. We don't want to be separate from our Lord. So they were in tears. So they were given this option that either you can spend 7 lives as devotee, or only 3 lives as demons. Right? Now the question is, what would you choose if you were there? Because Srimad Bhagavatam, everywhere it is said that Krishna, we are ready to go anywhere, but only one thing, that we want to be your devotee. We don't want to, forget you ever. Even the great devotees like Bhakti Vinod Thakur have prayed that Kita Janma Jatha Hoya Tua Das. I'm ready to be born as an insect, but the condition is I should be an insect in the house of your devotee. Bahirmukha Janma Nahi As. So, great devotees have prayed that we want to always remember you. We never want to forget you, my Lord. Even Mukundamala Stotra, Mukunda Murna Pranipatya Yache Bhavantam Ekantam Miyantam Artham Avismrutistva Charnaravinde Bhave Bhave Metu Bhavat Prasadat. King Kulashekar is also praying that, please, this is the only one thing I ask you and beg of you, O my Lord, Avismrutistva Charnaravinde, that wherever I go, I should never forget your lotus feet. Now, here again, 7 lives as devotee or 3 lives as demon. What would you prefer? Prema Sankirtan says 3 lives as demon. That's what they chose. Anyways. But most of us, even our acharyas, like I said, they are begging for life as a devotee. Now the biggest question, why did they choose the 3 lives as demon? Here in the commentary by Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, he says that because Jay and Vijay knew the heart of Lord Vishnu, and they knew that Lord Vishnu wants to fight, but the problem is, whom will he fight in Vaikuntha? There is nobody that he can fight in Vaikuntha. All are good boys. All are great devotees. They don't do mistakes. They don't act nasty. So there is no reason to fight. So in Vaikuntha, there is no possibility to fight. Even, Krishna or Lord Vishnu, he cannot even mess with his own wife, Lakshmi Devi. He cannot even fight with her. The Lord Vishnu is like, I want to enjoy the rasa, virya rasa. I want to enjoy it. But with who? That was the big question. And because Jay and Vijay knew the heart of the Lord, that Lord has the desire to fight, and there is nobody that he can find, we will be ready. We are ready to even be born as demons, We are ready to, appear as Hiranyaksha, Hiranyakashipu, Ravan, Kumbhakarna, Dantavakra, Shishupal. We are ready. Why? Just to fulfill the desire of our Lord and Master. Just to give him the chance to fight. So that was the main, the intrinsic, internal reason that Jaya and Vijay, they could have come down as great devotees. Their glories would be sung in Srimad Bhagavatam as the great guys, the best devotees. They would be the Mahajanas. But they rather chose to act like demons and forget about the people, the mundane people. Even the devotees of Lord Krishna, Shri Hari, all the Vaishnavas, they also condemn. Whenever we say Ravana, we say that rascal Ravana. We say, oh, the Hiranyakashipu was the most pathetic person on the planet. So they were ready to go through all this. They're ready to be ridiculed by not just ordinary people, even the Hari Bhaktas. But they just want to fulfill the desire of the Lord. So that's the main underlining aspect, that dasyam gatanam, they have completely surrendered themselves at the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And that's why they're ready to fight, they are ready to give that pleasure to Lord Vishnu in Virya Rasa, in the chivalry mode, as making Lord Vishnu as the hero. And by performance of such pastimes, they will leave behind the great Leelas, the great pastimes of the Lord Vishnu, which will be sung for the rest of the eternity. And these pastimes will become the cause of liberation for all the ordinary living entities. This is the main aspect, this is the main underlining idea of the verse we are reading today. So, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Anybody has any question? You want a question? Give question first, and then we can comment.
It's question.
Question? Oh,
yeah. At the very thank you for a nice class, Prabhu. It's very enlivening. At the beginning of the talk, you had mentioned, it seemed like in passing, that Lord Boar would have a fight with Hiranyaksha, but I didn't. Did you narrate that fight? Because it's, yeah, I thought maybe I didn't hear it, but there was a fight there, and I certainly, it was important because that was the time that Lord Boar would be the killer, the destroyer of Hiranyaksha, who was one of the most powerful persons in the entire world, along with his brother Hiranyakashipu. If you could do it in really a short time, because I know we're going way over. Do you know that fight? Yeah, go ahead.
No, you tell.
No. Yeah, I just know the bare outlines of it.
Just like we see in the movies, there is a hero, there is a heroine, and there, the union has to happen. But if the script writer writes that, oh, there was a nice hero and there was this nice heroine and they lived together happily ever after, then people won't go buy the tickets because there is no drama. So the drama is that what happens, there is a big villain who will snatch the heroine, he will kidnap her, take her away. And then the lady is screaming that, oh, my mighty hero, please come and save me. So like that, Hiranyaksha had kidnapped, taken away the earth. And earth is actually a goddess, Bhumi. So when earth was stolen, everybody was really worried who is going to rescue from within the ocean. Nobody even knows the length and breadth of the ordinary oceans of this world. We're talking about the Garbhodak ocean. So then the Varahadev pastime, that when Varahadev is going to get the heroine back, when he's ready to claim, there is Hiranyaksha who appears. And Hiranyaksha had a lot of conjuring techniques. He had a lot of, conjuring, like he could disappear from one side, appear from anywhere. So there is a lot of fighting that has been described. Even it's left for the further verses. We see that Hiranyakashipu is fighting with Lord Vishnu, and Lord Vishnu in the boar incarnation, he is fighting back with Hiranyaksha. And the fight gets more and more interesting because of the conjuring techniques. So what he does is he disappears from the front, he appears from behind Lord Vishnu, and then he gives him a punch. And Lord Vishnu is like, oh, what is going on? For a second he acts as if he is bewildered. And when Lord Vishnu is bewildered, all the demigods, they are watching the big fight. It's like a big stadium, and two heavyweight champions are fighting, and all the demigods, Lord Brahma, Vishnu, they're all watching. And at that time, there's very nicely described how Hiranyaksha was so happy that I'm giving, punches. I've been delivering spanks and punches to Lord Vishnu. I'm winning. And everybody was worried. But Lord Vishnu was just playing with Hiranyaksha, just like an elephant, plays with a dog. And then there's nice, beautifully described how when the fight gets more and more interesting, there is so much of fighting going on with hands. There comes a time, then Lord Vishnu is like, okay, I enjoyed a lot of Virya Rasa now. Let's end it. So it's just by giving a one tight slap, just by a big slap, Hiranyaksha was killed. The tight slap on the ear. So that's how the Hiranyaksha dies, and the earth has been rescued. And then there is that union of Shakti and Shaktiman. We can see that when Hiranyaksha was killed, and Lord Varaha Dev, he's bringing the earth on the tusk. He looks so beautiful, and he brings the earth back, and then he marries the earth, the goddess, and then they also have a son. So that all
that's way too over.
It appears. It all is connected. So stay tuned.
Yeah.
You want to have a question?
No, you missed something. The important point really is that Lord Boar was very angry at Hiranyaksha.
Yeah.
And why he was so angry is because Hiranyaksha, he stole all the jewels of the earth. And that caused an imbalance in the weight of the earth, causing it to fall down to the bottom of the ocean. In other words, it was meant to be a certain weight, but it was no longer that weight because all those jewels were in the pocket of Hiranyaksha. So, therefore, Lord Bogad is very angry that the earth he had created it, and through Lord Brahma, and everything was beautiful, and he ruined it. So therefore, his anger was taken out in that you just mentioned, that fight. And it didn't take long. In a few seconds, he just looked at him, gazed at him, took his, like you said, bam, right in the ear, and that was the end of Hiranyaksha. The most powerful man along with his brother, the most powerful man in the entire earth, just in a few seconds.
Yeah.
So he thought he could defeat anybody, but we can see. And Prabhupada makes this point again and again. I don't ever think you're equal to the Supreme Lord as they did.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
You want a question or?
Oh.
But then Varadev, he catches the club, and then he tries to offer it back to Hiranyaksha, but Hiranyaksha doesn't want to take it because it's like prize. Could you please speak a little bit about this scene?
Oh, that's a very beautiful point. See, the thing is, when the pastime is happening, Krishna is enjoying himself. At the same time, he wants to give pleasure to his devotees. So that's why these pastimes become more and more interesting because of such twists and turns. What happened is that while fighting, the club of Lord Vishnu, it fell. And all the demigods and all the great devotees who are watching, they skipped one heartbeat. They thought, oh no, our Lord is losing because he just lost the weapon and Hiranyaksha has the weapon. So these kind of things actually make the pastime more and more enlivening, more interesting, because Krishna likes to play, these kind of tricks by which he makes the pastime more relishable. It becomes more juicy. So that's the main point. So Hiranyaksha becomes like, yes, look, I am most powerful. I am defeating your Lord. Vishnu has what kind of power he has? He's not able to keep his weapon. I am so powerful that I make him drop his weapon. Now it's just a matter of time that I'm going to kill him. And all the devotees were really worried. They were in anxiety. But this is the glory of Krishna's pastimes. When Krishna, entered the waters of Yamuna, when Kaliya pastime happened, first thing what happens is Kaliya bit Krishna. And Krishna is fainted. Krishna fainted. He was, apparently unconscious for 2 hours. And everybody is thinking, why Krishna is unconscious for 2 hours? Now the behind the scenes, our acharyas, they describe in the commentary, because Krishna was unconscious because he thought that I want to dance on the hoods of this great serpent Kaliya. This is my stage. My stage is ready. But where is the audience? There is nobody to watch. So Krishna, he was unconscious for 2 hours. In the meantime, all the boys went in the Vrindavan, they brought all the audience, all the devotees, Nanda Baba, Yashoda Maya, all the big cowherd men, cowherd women, everybody came on the bank of Yamuna. And then Krishna is like, okay, now I'm going to get up, because now is my time, I can show my skill. So Krishna was just waiting for the audience. So these kind of twists and turns Krishna likes to play so that the pastime becomes more and more relishable by the devotees. Shri Prabhupada ki jai, Granth Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Nitai Gaur Premanande, Hari Hari Gaur.